So have made a promise. This promise was actually made more by Brian than by me. Brian made a promise about my channel. You're getting a little familiar here. It's just you've been on this channel too many times now. You're making promises for me on my own channel.
Yeah, I feel comfortable doing that. So everybody use discount code.
To get your special on the Cybertruck camo. Anyway, all right. Well, Brian said, listen, I've got news. He teased the news. So I said, okay, Brian, I will have you back again so that you can tell your story. You're just bursting at the seams to tell the story.
I love it. I love it. And Randy acts like we didn't have a whole pre-show chat and an inter-show chat and a series of emails before that. What happened this weekend was Tesla, there's this book out that says by Walter Isaacson, who is absolutely an authority. He is a great writer. He's a very successful author, and he does have direct access to Elon, in which he says, it's not going to be built in Texas. It's going to be the compact will be built in Austin first.
I say not in Mexico.
Sorry, not in Mexico. It'll be built in Texas first.
Right.
Thank you, Randy. And of course, that makes my ex blow up. Not my ex-girlfriend. I think having two kids did that. So anyway, what happened was people are saying, well, if he says it and he has access to Elon, that makes it true. And what we're finding is a lot of the pre-release stuff from the book, and the book is out, I believe, today, the 12th. I think that's the official release date. Yeah, is so people can go read it for themselves. But a lot of it is couched language, and a lot of it is out of date information. It's 6 months old. It's at least 3 months old. This is not a self-published book. This is a real goes through editors and fact checkers kind of book. And not all of the facts can be checked. And I'm sure Elon would say, look, he had access to me. He's saying what was said regardless. I'm not going to give away this store. You have to decide whether or not something is worth running. And if I was the editor, I would say, good enough. So why is he saying, well, there's delays in Mexico. At the time this was written, there were not delays in Mexico. So I don't know how that information could have made it happen. The delays have happened within the last couple weeks, month or two. So that doesn't make sense right there. But the question is, Randy, I will ask you, why are they building it in Mexico at all? Why not just build it in Texas? You've already got the land. You've already got the construction crew rolling. You already know the permits are going to fly through. Why not build it in Texas?
So I'll take Isaacson's point of view on this so that you can play off of that. So the main story about moving it was not moving it permanently and totally. The main story was that Elon went, I'm not going to be able to get my top engineers to move down to Texas. And it's about, I guess, a 6 or 8 hour drive. So they're not going to drive down and spend 3 days and then drive back. I want my top engineers, and I personally want to be there because this is a brand new way of manufacturing. And I want to be able to have those huddles on the floor around the line. And so we can make these decisions on the fly. And I want that team to be, ready to go. And I can do that better in Austin than I can do it in Mexico. Moreover, I am running into some problems with the Mexican government in terms of getting these permits that they were going to get in a week. It's turning into months. And so this will give me an opportunity to get the first line or 2 lines, whatever they have space for, in Austin, get those up and going, start spitting out cars. Now I've got the cookie cutter. All I got to do is I can cookie cutter it down in Mexico. I can cookie cutter it in Berlin. I can cookie cutter it in Shanghai. And we will have done the very best possible job we could possibly do. So that is the argument made by the Isaacson book.
Okay. Now I've heard it both ways. I've heard it that it's going to be real production, and I've heard less definitive talk that it's going to be a pilot line. A pilot line can only get you so far. If you look at the 4680 pilot line in Cato Road, they were not able to cookie cutter it into Texas, and that's a problem. This is not a new idea. My buddy Bert was a Ford engineer, and when they moved the plant, a product to Mexico, they would get it completely dialed in Detroit and put up, a board with all the wiring harness pegs and all that, ship the whole thing down, but it wouldn't really save them that much time. Sure, there are engineers who don't want to go to Mexico and they can do their part of the job in the US, but it's still, it's not a substitute. So the question though remains, why build in Mexico at all? What is the advantage?
Theoretically,
there's two.
It would be the labor.
Go ahead.
It would be the big one.
Theoretically, the labor.
Theoretically,
that's not the big one. That's the small one. Labor is such a small cost of these massive markup machines. Mostly it's done by robots.
I think I remember some smart guy. It might have been you on my show saying might have been the big reason is having all the relationships with the other Latin American countries in terms of trade agreements and whatnot.
That is exactly it. Mexico has something like twice as many free trade agreements as the US. Do you want to sell your cars throughout Southeast Asia? Do you want to sell them throughout all the Spanish-speaking countries? There are countries that do not have and will not have free trade agreements with the US, in part because what we would ask in kind is a bit onerous, and in part because they just don't have the same relationship with us. So we've got to look at, if we're going to export this around the world, it has to be made in a place that can export it around the world. You can build that car in Texas, but now your $25,000 car is competing with your $35,000 car, which is already competing with your $45,000 car. So it's better to start in a market that can't realistically buy as many $35,000 and $45,000 cars. So they need it in Mexico. Could they build a pilot line first? They could, but where? Are they expanding the building to do it? If they're expanding the building, it has to be at least the correct shape. And there is no space in which they are building something that is large enough to mimic the space that they will have in Mexico. I saw another gentleman say, well, I've seen equipment going in of a quantity that doesn't make sense. And I've said, right, but we've seen that for a year and a half. That's for the Y and the Cybertruck. They certainly wouldn't be taking delivery of equipment a year and a half before they're ready to build, before a building goes up that could house it. And is there even enough space left inside Giga Texas without decommissioning Model Y lines? They could decommission one of the Model Y lines and change it over. But the manufacturing philosophy is completely different. They'd have to pull out all that equipment and permanently decommission that Model Y line, which I don't think they're going to do. So the building isn't there today. Well, they could put it on the ground floor, right? But that would not mimic what they're building in Mexico. What they're building is a vertical, unboxed, bespoke factory. And are they going to go in and start excavating to put in stamping presses inside? They can, but it would be a monumental hassle. So they could build another building. They haven't started. So the pieces don't add up to me. You'd mentioned that in a video Joe Techmeyer, the drone pilot in Austin, had recently put out. I haven't seen it. I was on the road over the weekend, so I didn't catch all his videos. He was saying there was some equipment going in that he didn't recognize. I don't recognize all the equipment. Joe is a little bit better at that than I am, but I recognize most of it. And the fact that I don't recognize a machine doesn't mean it's for a model that's not going to be released for another year or two. That's very premature. It seems like something that they would be, and especially on a compact. Unless this is using something more radical than the Cybertruck in terms of its entire design philosophy, I don't know what kind of equipment you could need. And even then, unless, what is it? Is it carbon fiber wrapping equipment? Is that, if I saw that going in, I would say something is up.
What's going on? Okay, Brian. So that begs the other question then. I guess that's the right way to use that phrase. Anyway, that creates, that causes me to then go back to the original problem, which is, does that mean then that we're not going to see the Gen 3 vehicle at all until 2026?
So to address your first question, just in case there are some pedantic folks in the comments, that doesn't beg the question, it raises the question.
Raises the question. Okay.
I know,
I went to
it's a
law
commonly
school. I should know
misused
what
one.
begs the question means. I mean, what's wrong with you?
You went to law school. We'll just start there.
You didn't? Oh, that's right.
So well, you asked what was wrong, so I just figured I'd tell you.
I didn't become a lawyer. I didn't become a lawyer. That counts, doesn't
it? That was the last bar you didn't pass. Anyway, so does this mean we won't see one until 2026? Why? Why not? Why wouldn't we? The factory's only delayed by a few months at this point. Now that delay could stretch, but I don't think it's the permits that's causing the delay. I think it's the design that's causing the delay, because everything is a moving target with these guys, even internally. So I don't believe that, let's say the pilot line theory is correct. I don't see how this would speed that up. That building still has to be built. They're not going to launch this from Texas based on what we've seen today. The new building going up on the west side of the highway is not large enough to manufacture new cars. It could be a testing grounds for some of the design philosophy, but it wouldn't be, it might be enough to shave weeks or a month or two, but it wouldn't be enough. It would be a tremendous cost to provide very little benefit. Unless we hear officially that for some reason Mexico is not moving forward, I have seen nothing that would tell me that that's the case. I believe nothing has changed, and that the information from the book is either out of context to a degree that makes a lot of the theories going around inaccurate, or out of date to a point that makes all the theories out of context. The gentleman I saw an argument on social media the other day about the $25,000 car and how Tesla shouldn't advertise that, these low prices that they can't actually do. And I said, well, so first of all, not advertising. And, and the plan is that they will do it. Well, I can't buy one. Right. So they're not making them the plan is not to launch them in the US. The plan is to launch them for international markets where they can be sold at lower price. And the citation he used was a 2.5-year-old interview with Tom Ju when he was still in Shanghai, saying, we're going to be building the compact here in China and it will be exported to international markets. He goes, see, that's the US. They're advertising it. I said, no Chinese car is going to be imported to the US from China on under the Tesla brand. It doesn't make sense. And shipping it out to the international market means, I don't know if you know this, but there's several countries that are not the US. So it could be any of those.
Right.
So you gotta zoom out and look at it. There's a gentleman I follow on X who does very good analysis of auto industry production in Canada. And he was saying that the amount of equipment he's seen going in feels disproportionately high for the production they have. And that led him to the conclusion, the compact is coming. It's coming in China from Austin, and it's coming sooner than we think. And first of all, sooner than we think is not really in Tesla's vocabulary. And they're going to ramp that Cybertruck to a cajillion units. They're going to make a few of those. So no amount of hardware going in there is going to surprise me.
Yeah. Well, all right. So when we started this conversation, Brian, I was going, come on, Brian, I don't know if you got, but you know what? You've kind of convinced, you haven't convinced me, but you've caused me to go, I wonder. And you broke it on my channel. Nobody else has this. This is exclusive.
Yeah. A lot of people are very excited. They want to latch onto the newest news. But I always, when I first saw the headline, I thought that doesn't make sense. It doesn't add up. And so I had a chance to do a little bit of digging over the weekend. And the more I dig, the more I'm saying, I don't see the pieces fitting together the way they would need to support this theory. It could still happen. They could pivot, and maybe that big plane at the north of the site in Austin becomes the compact car factory. That could very well happen, but I haven't seen anything that would definitively tell me that that's the correct conclusion.
So, Brian, my last question for today, I think, because sometimes I'm surprised that I have another one, but whenever we are doing these shows together, I'm so tempted to start singing "Lemon Tree, very pretty," and the lemon. So, is that a lemon tree?
It is a plastic lemon tree. That is correct.
Plastic lemon tree. So
too far north for a real one.
You're waiting. You wish you could have a new one, a real one, or?
No, I'm good with the fake one. Yeah, a fake. I just needed something to break up the monotony of the background.
That was it. That was the entire reason. And so there was no like theory to it, like what would lemon mean in your case or in your show, or regarding cars, for instance. I mean, there's all kinds of metaphors here.
Yeah, I am younger than you, so for me that would be the lemon tree from Springfield, from not Springfield, but the next town over on The Simpsons. What? Now that's escaping me. Shelbyville with their lemon tree that they stole from Springfield.
I see.
But no, I just looked for something that was cheap and large enough to actually show up on the frame. So it's when life gives you fake lemons, fake lemonade. I don't know.
So in other words, you're too old to know Calypso. Huh? You didn't get to do the Calypso. That's right. You probably missed that. That was in my teens when Calypso was all exciting. Yes.
Yeah.
But anyway, I had to ask, and everybody got a chance.
Did you?
Everybody got a chance to see that I can't sing anymore. So there you go. Oh. We do have to quickly mention, Brian. We have
the cool bottle opener.
Bottle opener. Yeah. Brian says they're worth $45.
My kids were shocked that it's not $45 because it's heavy duty. And Randy, show how little the joints are, the how thin, right at the top window and bottom window, and even still, it's very, very durable. Give it a bend. It doesn't.
Oh yeah. Bend. Oh no, it doesn't bend. No. This thing is
with those little connections. So that's how rugged the skin is on Yo Cyber truck.
Right.
I'd like to point out, Randy Kirk, not a sponsor.
So send your $25. It's all the information's down below, or you could use it to join my Patreon, but you can't use it to join his Patreon. But you should join his Patreon, even though you're not going to get
even though you won't get anything free, but what you will get is smarter.
That's possible. Entirely possible.
It is possible.
All right. Hey, Brian, thanks so much again for being here. Enjoy your time in Detroit. I'm sure you will.
I will.
I was in Detroit a very, very long time. I haven't been there, I think, for 50 years. But
I haven't been there since May.
All that long?
Yeah, but it was my first visit, so this will be a second visit.
All right. Well, listen, if anything happens really exciting in Detroit, don't hesitate to call, and we could throw you on, from your hotel room or from the airport or who knows where.
Yeah. Sounds good.
All right. Thank you so much, Brian, again. And for all of you out there, it has been great talking to you. If you don't mind, I do want to pitch my little device here. I have these little devices for $25. You can't believe how cool this is. Look at how thick the stainless. I mean, holy mackerel! It comes in a camo as well. It's a can opener. I mean, I'm sorry, not a can opener, a bottle opener. So you got your bottle opener here too, and it's got a magnet on the back, so you can slap it up on your fridge. I mean, is this good or what? So anyway, you just send $25 to my PayPal account. It's down in the information below. Just click on there. You can send it 20. Now, if you're out of the country, I got to charge you an extra $20 for freight. So, or if you join my Patreon, I'll give you one at the $10 level. I'll give you one for free.
Click the link below to get your paperback, Kindle, or audiobook now.